Hey folks, Jeff here at Backcountry. Well, today is finally the day we're getting started on the spray foam. Now it's going to take more than one day to do it, but we got the first day knocked out and they almost got the first coat of closed cell foam on the entire building. Didn't quite finish. They'll be back in a couple days. Today's Friday. They'll be back on Monday to get it done. And then we're going to put some open cell on the roof as well. So we'll go in and take a look, see what they did. I've got to put on a respirator to walk in there. It's still pretty thick in there, so hopefully you'll be able to understand me. If not, I'll voice over it, but let's go take a look.
All right, so the fumes are pretty thick in here, and you can really see the mist in the air, and we've had the small doors open to try to air it out a little bit, but it's pretty thick in here. They've been spraying for several hours with 2 rigs, and so it puts up a lot of material. So you can see there at the top, it's still not done, in the center strip of the roof on both ends. It's pretty hard, pretty solid. We'll see how it all cleans up. Interesting, all the bugs. Look at all these. They're not ladybugs. I don't know what they're called. I forget. Some kind of Japanese something or other, I think. I don't remember. But they look just like ladybugs. I don't know where the heck they came from. I mean, they're all over the door here. Of course, it's covered in plastic. Nice big test globs. That should be fun. We'll get a piece of this and we'll take a torch to it and show you how it burns. It's always good to know. Now they covered the whole floor with plastic, so you can see all the overspray. So if you ever do this, you definitely want to make sure they cover everything. I mean, you can look along the edges and see lots of overspray. But it's all plastic, so it should clean up and come off real easy. Now this is supposed to be a 2-inch average. It looks like it probably is. I don't know. I'll have to figure out a way to do a measurement or something, get a wire or something and check it out. Of course, they covered up the windows and everything. There's a little hole, so they checked it with a wire gauge. I can see another one over here. So yeah, they use a wire gauge to check to make sure they're doing the 2 inches. So that's good. A lot of test pieces. They must have been having some problem at one time or another. But overall, good progress. This is going to be really nice when it's done. Should be very efficient. Easy to keep somewhat cooler. I don't know. I don't know that we're going to air condition it or not, but it's definitely going to be cooler than the outside. But that's where we're at on day 1. Like I say, overall, I think it's looking pretty good. They made good progress.
Yeah.
All right, folks, the next phase of the shop build is complete. So we've got everything spray foamed, at least for this phase. There will be another spray foam job in the future. So what did we do here? This is 2 inches of closed cell spray foam that went over everything, walls, roof, the whole building. And then to top it off, another 5 inches of open cell foam on the roof. So you can see those purlins just barely coming through up there. Those are 8-inch purlins. And the foam in a lot of areas is even with the purlins, which means it's going to be about 7 to 8 inches average. I can see a few areas where, you know, it might be a little less barely, and then other areas where it might be a little more. So overall, I'd say we're pretty good. So why did we do so much foam? Number one, you'll find that the more you follow my projects, I tend to overdo everything. I like to over-engineer things. I like to have a certain level of preparedness. And here in Texas, it gets hot. So if you're up north, you want to prepare for the cold. If you're down south, you prepare for the heat. And so by really insulating this building well, it should be easier to maintain the temperature inside, whether we're heating and cooling or whether it's just closed up and we don't want it to heat up as fast as the outside air. The other thing is that when it rains, it pours here, and if you saw some earlier videos I did, it gets really loud in here when it's pouring. And so with the 2 inches of closed cell foam, that foam is very dense, rigid, and it doesn't dampen noise that much. Let's see if I knock on the outside, how loud it is on the inside. Yeah, it pretty much doesn't dampen the noise at all. But in theory, on the roof, with that 5 inches of open cell foam, that does dampen noise. So I'm hoping that this building will be a lot quieter when it's storming, since we are going to have living quarters in here. Between the living quarters and the roof here, you know, there's obviously more material and everything, so hopefully you won't even hear it. That's the goal. We'll just kind of have to wait for a storm and see how everything sounds, I guess. So if I look at the job that these guys did, overall, I guess I would give them about a 4 out of 5 if I was rating them on Google or something like that. It's not perfect. If I did it myself, you know, obviously I don't have the expertise or the equipment to do it, so I couldn't do it myself. But if I was doing it myself, there's some things that I would probably make sure, just attention to detail. So I tend to have a higher level of attention to detail than some. So like looking up here, you know, you can see some gaps between the purlin. Looking here, it looks like there's a crack going up the wall. There's not, but it's just, these are probably cosmetic more than anything. looking here behind the steel beam there, looking behind it, you know, looks a little rough, like they should have come in from the sides and hit that a little better. Just little stuff like that. If I look back here, looking up those purlins, most of the purlins are encased pretty well, but you can see where it's thinner in some areas. You can kind of see the purlin through the foam, so it's not as thick. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. Now, obviously, they don't do it around the windows. That's on purpose, because those windows are going to be framed together with the studs and everything. We may even trim some areas of foam to put the studs closer to the steel purlins. So that's okay. That's supposed to be that way. You know, when I look here, like here's an example of a bigger, what looks like a crack, even though it's not. It's just where the foam they didn't spray enough together with the purlin. I don't know that that's a deal or not. It may just be cosmetic. Same thing. They came back and touched this one up. So to me, that's how I would want it to look all the way. But it doesn't look that way all the way. Coming down here, same thing. You got some areas that look like, you know, there's gaps. I don't know if that gap goes, you know, how deep the foam is between the steel and that. I don't know. But here's the plan. So as it warms up this summer, you know, here when we look on the back side of this purlin where the door is, they came back and redid these, shot them better for me. But I don't know if it's all 2 inches or not. Sometimes it's harder to shoot into these gaps. So I just don't know. You look in there, it's open steel. So the question is, you know, now granted that's a purlin, but will heat transfer through that? I don't know. Wow. You can look down there. There's already dirt blown all over that. And that's just because the wind was blowing like crazy today and I opened the doors to vent everything out. And it blew. I mean, there's a light covering of dirt in this corner. It blew dirt in here. It's crazy. The wind was blowing like crazy today. Anyway, that's of no concern. The concern is, will there be heat coming through those areas? So where the purlins, for example, aren't covered completely and, you know, all the way around encapsulated, will heat transfer through there? I don't know. On most of that, we used that thermal break tape. So there is a thermal break between the siding and the purlins. And then there's the spray foam. So I don't know. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to purchase a thermal imager, and on a hot day when the doors have been closed, I'm going to come in here with that thermal imager and I'm going to look for hot spots. And if I have a bunch of hot spots, then I guess what I'll do is come back and hit them again with some more foam. And depending on how much we have, we'll determine the best way to do that. But I will say this. We got bids from, I don't know, several different companies on this spray foam job. And initially, the bids that we got, we just asked for the 2-inch of closed cell foam throughout. And the closest bid that I got on just the 2-inch was $2,000, I think actually $2,500, $2,500 more than the total price I paid for all of this. So that's not even close, those two bids, not even close. So we really were able to get a good deal on this. And, you know, I mean, I want to say the roof, just the, I don't know, I'm going to have to go back and look, but it was a few $1,000s at least just for the open cell on the roof. So, just a guess, wow, probably $6,000 minimum difference in price. So that's significant. We were $2,500 lower total. But when you add in the cost of the open cell, I mean, it was about a $6,000 difference, really. So that's very significant. And, you know, based on that alone, I can live with the imperfections. So even if I were to go out and say, let's say I find a few hot spots, and so I go out and I buy a do-it-yourself kit of open or of closed cell foam, and I just go back and hit the hot spots. Well, let's say I have to buy 2 kits. So 2 kits is probably, let's just say $1,800, about $900 a kit. I think that's about a fair price for 600 board feet, I want to say, which is basically 600 square feet at 1 inch thick. So if we go back, we may even, I mean, if it's just a few spots, I mean, you might even be able to do it with 1 kit, which is $900. So $900 would still keep me significantly below the closest competitor. So, you know, I mean, that alone may bump that from a 4-star to a 4.5 or 5-star overall. So, am I happy? Yeah, I'm good. Overall, I'm very pleased with what we got, and I can't wait to see how well it performs. So what's next? Well, I've got to move some stuff in here. I've got to empty my trailer. I've got to do another load to get more stuff moved up here and finish out that military move. And then I got some other administrivia to take care of. Obviously, I've got to file all my paperwork and everything to get paid for that move. And then I've got taxes to do and some other paperwork stuff to take care of. And then it's back to work up here. So obviously we've got a lot of wiring to do in here for our electrical power, and I've already purchased the lights and everything to hang from this. Of course, I got to figure out how I'm going to hang it. I guess I'll have to, you know, somehow drill up into my purlins, I guess, and screw a screw in there or something, or we'll figure that out. Maybe just a big Tapcon actually, and a hook or something, because they have hooks for the lights. But anyway, that's all trivial stuff. We're going to spend a fortune in here doing all the wiring and everything. If you haven't priced wire lately, wire, copper is expensive. So That's going to add up quick. Of course, we got a lot of framing to do on this end to build the living quarters. And once we get the living quarters in here, then we're going to have the spray foamers come back and we're going to spray foam that too. So that's how we're going to end up with an insulated building inside of an insulated building. And so this living quarters should be extremely efficient. And that's the intent. It shouldn't take very much power to maintain it, to keep it cool, warm in the winter, etc. And yeah, that'll be a lot of work, and we'll of course produce videos and everything on that as we go. The wiring and all that kind of stuff, that'll be a lot too. So anyway, there's a whole lot more work to go on this. We're not even close to finished. We got a lot of projects left just to get this building done. And of course, you know, always other stuff going on as well. Hopefully y'all are enjoying this series. We appreciate you following along. And, you know, stick with us. Let's see how everything goes. God bless. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.